but you don't have to be worried about that. But sometimes when I talk, I interrupt myself, coughing and all that, so just be patient with me. This is the Saturday Nextel Coffee Hour, and it's the first one of 2019. And I'd like to begin, although today I'm going to share some information that may lead somebody to think I'm either aggravated or lecturing or critical of some activity. That is not the case. It's all about progress. I want to thank everybody who's on the call as usual on Saturday, or any of the calls for that matter. And I want to give a special shout out to the guests who are on the call for the first time. And I'm proud to say that while I was recovering from my holidays, what was interesting is I had three people whom I'm very excited about to join my organization. I love getting those little emails. And I didn't expect that kind of activity because of the holidays, but needless to say, people are starting to play. And from the bottom of my heart down here in Florida, I want to thank everybody who's playing. This is the time to do it. So we'll talk about that today. I wanted to open up by reviewing with everybody something that we all have heard before. And that's that phrase that's just loaded with all kinds of information. A lot of us take it for granted. And that phrase is that insanity is doing the same things over and over, expecting different results. And we've heard it so many times, I think sometimes our minds say, yeah, I understand. I don't do the same thing over and over and over. Well, I'm going to talk to you about a conversation with a friend yesterday. I said, well, needless to say, what I'm going to do is I'm going to incorporate some of that dialogue in the Saturday call. We've spent some time over the holidays here talking once again about the simplicity of the business, the contribution that Steve has made to us by waiving that upfront fee, an even better and more level playing field. The fact that we're still getting the credits for the customer points for the Welcome Essentials is unbelievable. And we know that this is a business of leverage where we need a lot of people. So let's eliminate the obstacles of those things have happened. What I want to talk about today is eliminating what some of us may be in denial about. And not everybody. Once again, thanks for everybody who's doing it. Something's happening. I love it. But there's only one way to eliminate this insanity, as we say. It really isn't insanity, but it kind of stifles progress. So what I wanted to do was just approach some of the ways to avoid the consequences of insanity in general. Let's just keep the term from the saying. So for the guests, my name is Bob Torsey. I'm with Nextel. You'll hear from me often, as long as God keeps letting me wake up in the morning. And my Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays come around, I'll be here. And of course, if any of you need me, I'm always in touch, and you know that. So we're going to discuss three approaches today. The first approach that we'll discuss is you can always change. All right. The second one we're going to talk about is persistence and commitment. A lot of us, we really don't build models for ourselves. We're persistent, but we keep changing our minds about whether or not we want to do certain things. That's a human condition, by the way. And the third thing that I'd like to talk about is our why. A multi-level term that we talk about. It's your objectives. Why in the world are you doing this? And the point that if your why doesn't make you cry, it might not be strong enough. So we're going to talk about those things and then focus on a little activity that I believe is going to help. And it's not an original idea. But it's an original idea for me this week because of the activity that I saw and some of the dialogue that I've had with these people. So let's get started. By the time we're finished, just a little insight into what I was thinking. I am a frail, imperfect human, like all of us. I can never say that I'm not insane. I don't like that word, but you get the point. I do the same things over and over all the time. Yesterday in conversation, we're talking about the fact that, and I forgot who wrote this article, but I read it years ago. If you have a rough time going to work, did you ever think that the instant reminder is that everybody typically takes the same way to work every day? It's either the fastest or it's the route that you take every day because you're a creature of habit. Well, that's the way I know. That's the way I like. That's where the coffee shop is. That's where my friend is. It's without tolls. You know, there are a lot of reasons. There are so many things that we do every day. You know, I just joked. You all know that I moved lately. And our big supermarket here is Publix. We've got one of those things. Looks like a large Walmart. And I've been over there, I don't know, half a dozen times. And I'm a real good shopper. I've got a pretty good idea what I want. And not being familiar with the store, I don't want to get lost in the store. I got to know where I am. So I find myself for at least a half a dozen times taking that same path around the supermarket. And you know what's exciting is if you change it, start from the meat or start from the dairy, just do it a little bit differently. And I said, you know, you're making a point there, my friend. And I started thinking about what can we do differently in our business to avoid the insanity. That's what we're going to talk about today. So anyway, let's get started with the first topic. You can always do something different. Now we ask the question, well, why don't I? I think I'm doing something different, but the fact of the matter is it's the same thing over and over and over. That's because we really don't sit down and map out our plan. And I find myself with little stickums. I'm still a 3M notepad guy, and I stick these little ideas everywhere. And I've been doing that for a long time. That every now and then I find out I've got so many of them, I've forgotten what I've written. Or because they are what they are, sometimes the glue dries out, the thing flies away, and you find it behind your desk 3 days or 3 weeks or 3 years later if you don't clean often. And you lose the thought when you wrote it down. So then I kept on thinking about the fact that I know an awful lot of women. My mom, my sister, my daughter, some friends of mine, and a lot of women have got what we call a diary. And they write, "Dear diary, and today I did this, and today I did that." And I was never into that. But I started to realize one change that we can do is if we sit down and start to write out what we plan on doing for the day, wouldn't it be cool if before you go to bed, you look at that and you say, well, how many of these things did I accomplish? And once again, because we're all a little bit insane, doing the same thing over and over and over, we would find ourselves, we would surprise ourselves if we actually wrote something down and checked it out, just like a diary. So the first thing that I want to say is, if you want to change one thing. Let's try to track ourselves. And I'll talk about that when we do the goal section here as well. All right. So that's one thing. Number two, persistence and commitment. There's a problem with persistence because a lot of people, part of this insanity thing, they're persistent, all right, but we continually do the same thing, expecting something different. And here is a fallacy, I believe. There is a notion that if you do more work or if you do more activity, more things will happen. Well, you're going to develop a ratio ultimately. The other day I said, why don't we all go out there and make the commitment to talk to two people? Well, you got to get out of the house or on the phone or on your computer to instigate dialogue with people. Now, if you're persistent, you can say, my goal is to talk to 2 people a day, but you have no track to run on. Because a lot of us get waylaid, you know. We're distracted by life. Car, you got to change the oil in the car today. You got to go to the bank for this reason, that reason. There are things that always get in the way. That's why I don't do it, and I don't recommend that you do it. I write down, 10 things that I've got to do, because the incompletes are the things that keep you up at night. And my gosh, I got 3 of these things done, and 7 of them, man, I never even got to them. And over a period of time, you've got a list of incomplete tasks. And the more incomplete tasks you have, you sit there going, holy moly, I'm behind. And a lot of people just give up when they look at that. They say, man, this isn't as easy as I thought it was. So I think the persistence is a term that's coincidental with doing the same thing over and over. Commitment is a little bit different. And I say, the other day we were talking about the New Year's resolution. Institution that, like we talked about, by Valentine's Day, most people have already broken it. And that's because it's a thought that they put in their mind. And they say, this is what I'm going to do. But the commitment isn't there, because the tendency of our frail humanity is to go back to doing what we've always done. You can't lose 30 pounds if you continually eat donuts and pizza and soft drinks. You're not going to lose 30 pounds. It's an arbitrary number, my friends. If I lose any more weight, I'm going to disappear. But the fact is, if you don't exercise along with your diet, what does that have to do with Excel? Excel is built upon some simple activity, but it does require activity, and you've got to feel good to do it, or else you don't go out of your house, or you don't make the calls, or your insecurity bothers you. You keep on saying, I got to do this, I got to do that. How come this? How come that? And that's what life is. It keeps coming at us every day. The people who are out there plugging away, consistently speaking with people, feel good about it. And they feel even better when there's a result and you get an email. Congratulations, you've got a new representative in your organization. We're going to talk about that at the end, okay? New representative in your organization. That's one way to keep score when you start to look at it. But getting the email, and I've gotten a lot of them, and I'm embarrassed to admit it. If we don't do something when that email comes, if we don't welcome somebody to this team, if we don't share with them the basics, that is the responsibility of the sponsor. We bring somebody into the business, now we're not going to take any money from them. That $14.97 is going to disappear with commissions if they go out and just get the customers by passing out the welcome essentials. But if you stop and think, we've been saying for 50 years, you're in business for yourself, not by yourself. And I got to tell you, I find myself a little bit lonely. Why is that? Our company is managed remotely. Everybody's in a different place. The accountability isn't as intense as it is. I'm not a guy that sleeps all morning. I don't think everybody should sleep until noon. And I am a guy that goes to bed early. And sometimes I realize I get up in the morning maybe too early because that's a longer time to spend by myself. How many of you think of that sometimes? Why is it that we just can't get out there and start to talk to people? Well, a lot of us just aren't inclined to do that. Well, it's going to keep a simple business somewhat difficult if our inventory is depleted, and our real inventory is an inventory of people, not product. If we're out of people to talk to, we're out of business. And some of us might feel that now. Gee, I don't know where to go. Well, I talked to everybody I knew. Well, the only way we're going to survive is to make the commitment to introduce ourselves to somebody else. And one way to do it is when somebody does come into the business, because that person is going to go out and open up a totally new market for you, to engage in that dialogue where you're available to talk to their people. I don't know how much of that goes on, but I'd like to see that change a little bit. That's an idea. That's an idea. Let's talk about the third one. Third point that I was going to talk about today, once again, deals with my conversation yesterday. Somebody asked the question, well, how did you get into that? Well, that's a long story, but it doesn't make any difference. I'm involved in it. I am happy about it most days. But the fact of the matter is, when I look at commerce, enterprise in America, this is indeed the land of opportunity. And when I look at people like Jeff Bezos, worth $128 billion, I say to myself, Torsi, what kind of a slug are you? Well, it's kind of like the distribution of wealth. He didn't grow up with $500 million to play with. And there are so many other successful people that are doing things that those of us who aren't knocking the cover off the ball simply refuse to do, maybe because our why isn't very intense. So what are some good examples of why? Coming into the business just to feel better is not bad. CBD provides that. Coming into the business to make a few bucks is admirable. That's why we're here. That's why we call ourselves the Wealth and Wellness Company. But if you really haven't set yourself down and plotted out your why, explain it to yourselves, you're going to miss it. I know. Just like my little 3M stickums. You're either going to lose it, you're going to forget it, or you're going to return back to the creature of habit that we all are. And over a period of time, that incremental failure, if you will, or elimination of the activity will have dramatic consequences, and they're not good. On the other hand, we've spoken about this often. Small incremental change with a commitment behind it and a goal and a why is gonna or will lead to better results. And I know some of the things that I've accomplished. I wasn't smart enough to do that, to do what I'm going to share with you. But somebody else told me what I should do. And it was all about visualization. I used to have this scrapbook, and I'd have little pictures in there. The pictures that were in there aren't important today. But I had my mom and dad in there. Picture of my mom and dad. I had a picture that the good nuns in St. Vincent's School gave me, and it was a twin set of Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Blessed Virgin. And I've had those since I was in second grade, I think. And those were in there. And a few other things. I had some material things. I had checks that I would copy from my employer, and I'd redact the amount that I got, and I'd put a bigger amount in there. And I would do these things like Tiger Woods says. You want to know how to make a 60-foot putt every Sunday? Like pulling it out of your back pocket. Dave knows this. It's visualization. You got to put it in your mind. You got to make the commitment, and you got to go for it. Dave could have the answer. He can't speak because I got everybody muted. I forgot what Arnold Palmer said, or maybe it was Johnny Miller, was talking about what was the most painful about his career was that he had to go outside of the game. He had to go out and hit 200 balls every day. Man, a bucket of balls to me, my back's hurting. Those guys are out there with finesse, blah, 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 blah. They're going to putt. They're going to go over. All athletes are that way. Michael Jordan, he learned how to fly because he thought he could. He visualized himself with that vertical leap. Of course, he's a big human anyway. What a great basketball player. We've got other stars like that. Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, so many people that are successful. What is it that they're doing? And they're not multi-level people. They're not, this is they're running these conglomerates, and there's got to be a reason why they're accomplishing what they're accomplishing. And I think a lot of it's got to do with visualization, these little techniques. And we could talk more about these things as time goes on. But I like to use quotes because they're very salient when you're having a conversation with your friends. I think about Henry Ford. I've studied a little bit about Henry Ford. Nice guy. Well, sorta. Henry Ford was brutal. But he gets all the credit for the assembly line and all that kind of thing. And, he built a dynasty, and I've got a Ford. So, it's been around for a long time, obviously. But what is it that these titans do? What do they do that's different? And it isn't that they're all born wealthy. We've already talked about that. Most of them start out, just keep on cranking. And that's what we're doing. So just a little review. I'm going to talk about the goal thing. So the first thing is we can always change. We've got to make a commitment to do that. So the first thing I want everybody to remember is, what are we going to do differently? Because we've had our first Saturday coffee hour of 2019. You got to write it down. Secondly, persistence versus commitment. Yeah, you can persist. Quit doing the same stuff over and over. If it isn't working today or you're unsatisfied, you got to make a commitment to do something different. That's part of the equation. The third one is, what is your why? I kind of skipped over that. I got waylaid in thought. What do you want to do with yourself? You don't have to say I'm going to be the king of the world. You don't have to say I'm going to become a billionaire tomorrow. Incremental change will get you there over a period of time. Do you want to build a hospital wing? Do you want to build a chapel somewhere where people can worship Almighty? Do you want to go out there and clothe the naked and feed the hungry? Do you want to be a philanthropist of your own sort? My friend told me yesterday, she said she got a raise. And I said, well, congratulations. That's good. And she said, well, do you want to know what I'm going to do with the money? I said, if you want to share it with me. She said, well, I've been watching TV. I don't like TV. But she sees the ASPCA, all these lonely dogs and cats. She sees the Wounded Warrior ad. She sees little Michael from St. Jude's and the other kids from the Shriners. And she said each one of them want $19 a month. And she said, my raise will get me over half. So I took 4 of those charities and I signed up for them. And I'm going to give those people who have less than I do the benefit of the doubt. And it's just an incremental change. It was a commitment that she did. And she said, you can cancel any time, but you'd be embarrassed to do that. So I just thought, what? Yeah, how come I'm not doing that? I don't want to say I squander money, but between my lifestyle and my social activity, and I like nice things, it's real easy to blow through a lot of money. And while you're taking care of yourself, you're ignoring the rest of the planet. So now we talk about what an honorable mission we have at Nexcel, giving people the opportunity to get the gift that keeps on giving. That's a healthy life. We talk about the opportunity to make money. And those things are just topics. The activity is what I think we've got to focus on. And like I said before, it's not a lecture to anybody. Everybody's doing something. Everybody's working. Everybody has some desire. But I think we've got to be a little bit more crystal clear about why we're doing this. Because I have to is a weak excuse. Because I'm sick and tired might be a better drive. I'm better than this. I want to do something better with my life. I want to help people, that commitment. So here's what happens. In the goal setting model that I was taught a long time ago, there are two components to setting goals. Your why, the reason for doing it, is certainly a goal. The first thing that they say you have to do when you get started on the goal setting equation is to write down your goal. So you're going to actually have to take a little break. I don't know if you do it today or tomorrow, but take some time out soon, because this window of opportunity we speak of is wide open for us. Write your goal down. That's step one. I am going to do this for this reason by June at noon. I am going to accomplish this by doing these sets of activities every day till the end of the year to achieve this. All right, you write that down. Put a time on it and visualize what you're going to be wearing the day that that happens, the hour that you put down there. The second thing about goal setting, I do it. I do it pretty often, but not enough, because I'm a creature of habit, doing the same thing over and over. The other thing that you have to do is proclaim your goal. Proclaim your goal. What the heck does that mean? Well, if you say to yourself, I'm going to lose 20 pounds, that's good. We all have one weakness that's unbelievable. It's real easy to lie to yourself. Nobody's going to know if I eat that donut. Nobody's going to know that I had pizza 3 times a week. Nobody's going to know that I keep on drinking those heavy IPA beers that'll put more weight on you than you can handle. So you've got to proclaim your goal to somebody else. If you're married, proclaim it to your spouse. You write it down. If you got to put it on your mirror, put it on your mirror. Every day you get up, go to the bathroom, come on over and brush your teeth, look up, see that little piece of paper that's there. I've got a piece of paper that's there. It's been there for years, at least 20. Dave in Atlanta, my friends, will know what it is. I happen to have a copy of the prayer of Jabez up there. Investigate it. We're not going to pray today. Hang on. But it's something that's very inspirational. Why do you want to tell your spouse or your children or your boss or anybody else? It's the closest thing that you're ever going to get to accountability. Because every now and then when you say, this is what I'm going to do, and I love you to death, would you do me a favor and be my monitor? Ask me routinely how I'm doing. And don't accept I'm doing fine. Fine is such a weak thing to say. How you doing? Fine. Most people who say fine are just miserable inside. So what you've got to do is develop this opportunity where we can speak with people. Let's ask people who come into the business why they're doing it. And don't accept because I need the money. How much? What are you willing to do about it? What can I do to help you? Proclaim that to somebody. Tell them to write down their goal and tell everybody what's gonna happen. So how you doing on your diet? Well, I ate 16 donuts this week. Well, at least that's honest. There's some good accountability there. It's even better than accountability if your spouse or your friend or your boss or whoever you've been communicating with says, dude, or do this. That isn't going to fly. You can't possibly be serious if that behavior is acceptable to you. And we've got to do that as a team. I think we've got to really, really start to develop an attitude with the people who come in, which is my last point. If we go through step 1, 2, and 3, and we write down our goals, I believe this should happen. When you sponsor somebody into the business, yes, you've got some responsibilities there. So we know that we're going to do a certain thing. We got to teach them to gather 3 customers, be a product of the product, do it within 30 days. Now you're going to get $50 for getting somebody started. But if that's all you're going to do, man, you're cheating yourself and you're cheating the new people. You've got to say, the first thing that I want to do with you is this. I want to introduce you to a special person in our organization. And if you, the sponsoring representative, introduce them to your sponsor, that is a third-party influence. That is a different voice other than you. That is introducing somebody to somebody else with a totally different perspective. Don't cheat anybody from that opportunity. Now, suppose everybody in this little line that we see are brand new in the business. Well, the dialogue would be, hey, I just got started. They're going to say, how are you doing? You're going to say, I'm doing well enough to know it works. If I get a few more people like you involved, we're all going to make some money and help a lot of people. What is it that I can do to help you? Now, you go all the way up line. Get as far as you can go if you have to. Janet's out there. She's got a strong organization. Doc Pearson's out there. He's got a strong organization. He's working too hard. I hope he's on the phone. But, I mean, this guy works his butt off because he's got 6 clinics and hundreds of people. Judy's working hard. Dr. Aguilar is working hard. We got so many people working hard, and people are coming into the organization. We've got to introduce those people immediately to the people that we perceive or to be, or at least recognize these people as exceptional. So if somebody comes into the business, the first thing I want to do is introduce you to so-and-so. Now, I'm going to make a commitment to y'all. I've got the time to do this. And I've also got the inclination to do this. Because I can't get on a soapbox on Saturday and start to tell everybody what to do. I prefer to say this is how to do it and why, the rationale. But I also want to volunteer. I am your upline. I am on your leadership team. I am not a special person, but I know one thing. I've got some perspective, having done this for a long, long time. I'm not going to tell them it's easy and you're going to get rich. I'm going to tell them it's challenging and rewarding. And if you do it for a long period of time, there's an opportunity to sock away some pretty good dough by helping people get well. And I'm not quite sure what I'd ever say. But you could, I've invited you, I get a handful of them every now and then. I've invited everybody to go to Bob at nextel.com and you say, hey, Bob, I've got a new rep, you know. Can I have your number, or how do I contact you with you? I'll give everybody on the call my number right now. It's 561-212-7404. I won't recognize the number, so I don't answer because I'm either on the phone or I'm doing something else. But you can leave a message. You can send me a text. Hey, Bob, I need your help. Would you talk to my new rep? Or I've got a candidate out here, and I think that she'd be great. By the way, out of the 3 people who came into my organization, 2 of them, I believe, can set this thing on its ear. This lady I've known for, well, it's about 15 years now, actually. 12. And she's a professional networker. How's that? I forgot what she is. She may be a nurse. Yeah, I think she's a medical profession, or was. But she used to do meetup.com. And she used to have the new business meetup. And she used to have the entrepreneurs meetup. And she had the singles meetup. And she was a professional networker where everybody goes. You've been through the drill. They're passing out cards, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody's trying to recruit everybody else into their MLM deal. I couldn't go into those. But the fact of the matter is she's got influence over people because she's got a great personality. And people who speak with her know that she cares. That's a change that each of us can make for 2019. We say that we care. Let's show it. It's in the action. And the more busy we are, I believe the results are going to be better. And that's pretty much what I had on my mind. And you know, it's just another beautiful Saturday in South Florida. I try to spend a half an hour giving somebody some ideas. They're not my ideas, my friends. Somebody else inspires me in conversation. So the lesson to be learned is the more people you speak with, you never know who you're speaking with. You never know what they're going to do. And you never know what you're going to learn. But if we're out there communicating, doesn't it stand to reason that we won't be doing the same thing over and over? And the likelihood of us developing a new attitude in the business is great. As always, my friends, we've all been blessed. I've been blessed. May you be blessed this week as well. Talk to some people. Come on, 2 a day. Write it down. Start your little diary. You can do that in 10 minutes a day. And we'll spend an hour talking about nothing on the phone sometimes. 10 minutes. Write it down. Let's see who we're going to speak with. Let's see if we can reinvent ourselves for 2019. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my day. I've got a big day today. I want you to enjoy yours as well. Thank you for your attention. God bless you.